Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Allie.
And this is the Butt Heavy Drive bookshelf from the David A. Howe Public Library.
Here we are again.
How you doing,
Just
Jen?
keep coming back like a bad penny.
I know. This is the first time that I plumb forgot that we do a podcast together.
Yeah, usually you're the one who's like, we need to record an episode. And I'm like, what is time?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Weeks have passed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this time it was me. I was thinking about it last night and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's been at least a month since the last time we yapped about whatever we're reading and watching.
You're right. I think part of the reason why I was off my game is because I do a podcast with my friend Steve Rudd, This Endorian Life, which we've sort of crossed over with back when we did our Karate Kid dueling episodes. But he and I were recording an episode about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and I had reached out to author Mel Gilden, who wrote the episode we were doing, because forever ago, Eric and I interviewed Mel for the All the Book show here at the library about his Star Trek books. And so, we had that connection, so I'd reached out. So we were sort of waiting to hear back from Mel, and so we recorded way late. So in my head...
Oh, there's time between the recordings of the episodes.
But no, not this time.
Everything has been thrown off cycle.
Yeah, that's right. It has. But speaking of cycle, I feel like I've had a relatively active cycle of reading and watching over the last month. It seems like you, not so much.
Not the most.
But that's okay. You're still settling into your new house.
Yes.
Floors are done. Waiting on the final curing of covers,
we can't
whatever.
Put rugs down yet.
Yeah, rugless. That's too bad.
Well,
that's too bad.
We did put down a rug on a floor that wasn't refinished, and it is very nice.
That's nice. That is good.
It's very cushy, but overall we are lacking in rugs for sure.
I get it. You also did some traveling, and I want to hear about it because you attended BookCon on behalf of the David A. Howe Public Library, and I want to know all about it.
Yeah.
So hit me.
I'm excited to tell you. Okay, so I went to BookCon.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Comic-Con, but for books. And it was in New York City.
It's a good name, then.
It is a good name. And so there were, panels, speakers, and, author signings. Publishers had tables where you could buy books or, potentially, again, get books signed, potentially get copies of ARCs. Yeah. I didn't do that because I heard that the ARC drop situation was madness and people were getting shoved in scary things.
Ooh, okay.
So I just didn't partake in that in that particular aspect.
Okay.
I mean, I also I looked at the ARCs and I was like, I don't know if any of these are things.
Yeah.
None of them I was like, I definitely need to get that ARC.
Yeah.
So I abstained from the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And then there was also again a big floor of vendors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of things. I went to quite a few panels about different topics. I took a lot of notes about books that I'm going to buy for the library, and books that I want to read for my own enjoyment. I met some authors. I met Rebecca Thorne, who wrote that Can't Spell Treason Without Tea book.
Which I introduced you to.
Which you introduced me to.
Wow.
And she signed my copy.
That's cool.
She was really nice. It was great. And she gave me a Griffin sticker, which I put on my water bottle.
That's good.
I also met S.K. Lee, who writes YA, some realistic fiction, and then she's also got a dystopian series that started coming out recently. And her books were some of the first ones that I read when I started this job, and I was browsing our YA collection, and I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. So it was kind of a cool moment to I don't know, the whole time that I've been at this job, I've been reading her books.
Yeah.
She was also very nice, and she signed one of our books that we have here in the collection.
Hey, look at that.
So if you check out, I think Saints and Misfits is the one that I got her to sign. If you check that out, it's a signed copy.
Nice.
But yeah, and I went to some great workshops. I did a zine making workshop, which then I also did that as a program here for teens and everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
I also saw the Stranger Things play on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Did I not tell you I was doing that?
No, you told me you were doing it, but we didn't talk about it after.
Oh, okay. It was really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
I was not sure how is that going to adapt to stage, because so much of it is monsters and
yeah.
But I feel like it worked surprisingly well, and part of me is I kind of almost wish that I could watch the entire show as a stage play now.
Yeah.
But the practical effects were really cool, and some of the cues that they did to sort of symbolize oh, this is when they're going into the mind space and everything with lights and stuff on the stage were really cool. The acting was really good. It takes place before the show. It's a prequel kind of situation.
Gotcha.
The adults are teenagers. Okay. And the actress they got to play young Joyce nailed the Joyce voice.
Oh, perfect.
It's perfect.
Okay.
So that was also really cool.
That's cool. when I was at an ALA conference in Chicago, I had nights free, and so I saw Aladdin and I saw The King and I hated Aladdin, but I really did. It didn't work as a stage play in my opinion at all, but I know it's popular, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm not. But the special effects were amazing. I sitting there in great seats, I was like, I don't know how they're doing this flying carpet scene. I have no idea how it's happening.
Yeah.
But I saw The King and I, and it was like a Tuesday. It was some random, and so it was not a huge crowd. And so the usher was like, just go up, move up, sit where you want. So I ended up getting this sort of like front row corner balcony scene where I was like looking over the whole thing. Amazing.
That's so cool.
Totally amazing. I loved it. There's a Stranger Things Happy Meal happening right now because there's like a cartoon or something, right?
Yeah, it's taking place between I think seasons 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, something like that. It's taking place in the middle, and it's a cartoon, and it's kind of like not really canon, but like could be.
Gotcha. Okay. I assume not the original cast, right? I
mean, no, okay. I think because I think they got different voice actors to do.
Gotcha.
Maybe some of the adults, but I think the like teens / kids are all different voice actors.
What's your interest in that?
When I saw that was happening, I was really like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I saw some of the like preview art, and I was like, that actually looks pretty cool. That looks fun. So I think I will watch it. I don't know. It sounds like the goal is very much to kind of get that like cartoons, like the classic 80s feel like with that.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of a fun concept and like blends really well with the overall like 80s homage that they've got going on. So I feel like it could be fun. I hope it just like, as long as it does not take itself too seriously, I feel like it will be a good time.
Yeah. This whole, not to go down this well-trodden path again, but the whole thing with streaming where we're like 2-3 years between seasons is just...
It makes me crazy.
Killing watching TV for me. Somebody was just checking out Severance, which is an Apple show. We have the first season. And I was so into that first season. And when, a decade passed between and we started watching season 2, I was like, I don't remember what's happening. I'm completely disconnected from these characters.
Like you have to re-binge the previous seasons to prepare.
You do. And I even with Severance, I went and read a very detailed summary and I was like, okay, I remember that. All right. And then I started watching it again and I was just like, I just don't care. I've left this so long ago. And that was kind of what happened with me in Stranger Things as well.
That's fair.
Or Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I mean, whatever you want to, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
And especially sometimes the season will end on a cliffhanger. And so it's like you have that uncomfortable cliffhanger feeling for like a year or two.
Yeah.
But then when the new season comes out, either you don't find out because they don't put any muscle into like telling you that the new season is coming out, or you're just kind of like, I don't know, but I don't remember. And I've got other things going on. I don't know.
I don't like it.
I feel like...
I don't like it.
At the very least, we got to not have a cliffhanger if we're doing that.
And I think what's so annoying, too, is when you look at trends, especially streamers pulling the plugs on things, it's like, well, nobody's watching it. And it's like, well, because we all know that we're going to have to wait 3 years. So it's like people are waiting until series are completely finished. And then it's like, okay,
well,
now
I also
I'll watch
feel
it,
like the streaming services, if it doesn't pop off and become Stranger Things level of popularity in the first 2 weeks, they're like, pull the plug. And I'm like, you got to give it more than 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, again, it comes down to the problem of capitalism where it's the only thing you can do is more and more and more and more and more. So it's not a sustainable model to just program to the number that you already have.
You can't just make number go big infinitely.
Right. Exactly.
There is a finite level of human beings.
And the fact that that's the way the world has been operating for decades, or at least this country is, I'm just like, guys, come on.
It's got to stop.
Come on.
We've got to reach a point where we're like, that's enough.
Ugh. I'm just with streaming models and stuff. What if okay, run it like a nonprofit? You know what I mean? It's like you have your budget. This is what it is. So build shows that fit within that budget and then continue forever. But no, it has to be more and more and more. And I'm just so tired of it.
Well, and again, just the speed of it. It's it all drops at once, and then it's again, if you haven't seen it in the first week, you're seeing spoilers online. And if you haven't seen it in the first 3 weeks, they're like, well, no one cares about it. And we're just going to. And it's how much time do you think I have? I do not have time to binge an entire show
it's crazy.
In the first 3 weeks that it comes out, unless I really like it. And I'm really, I have to know that it's coming out, be really excited, drop everything else that I'm doing, and then have no other hobbies to binge it at that speed.
Well, then it's everybody's wondering why is everybody binging The Office or old shows that are done, and it's because they exist and we can watch them, and there's no I don't know. I'm turning into a grumpy old man, and I have to accept that.
I think you should watch the rest of Stranger Things though.
I don't know. I mean, looking at that thing where it's each episode is 3 hours long, I'm I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I feel like that's the situation where like either you just consider it like you're watching a movie to watch that episode, or you just like feel fine about pausing halfway through and finishing it the next day if you need to.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of just like watch as much of the thing as you want to watch and then pause and come back to it later. Caleb thinks this is crazy, and I think that he's like watching me for like, you know, if I display any other symptoms of being a psychopath because of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's like some shows in particular, it's like every episode has to end with a cliffhanger.
Right.
So sometimes it's easier to stop watching the show in the middle of an episode.
Yeah.
And then come back to it the next day and finish and then land on the middle of another episode.
I don't think this is a warning sign for you or anything, but I think for me that wouldn't work so much because I would just be like, I would never start it again. You know, like if I'm
just like in the middle of the episode,
I'm halfway
it's
through
fine,
a 3-hour episode, I'm just like, do I really want to go back and maybe I'm.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. And it makes me sad because the first season of Stranger Things is just like peak amazing, you know, and then, I mean, it's not like it's bad after that or whatever, but it's just like, I mean, I really think this like decade-long rollout is...
It's a long time.
Damaging.
It's a long time.
Know?
It is crazy to be like, we started the show and Millie Bobby Brown was like 11.
Right.
And by the end, she's married and has a baby. Like, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
insane.
It's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. And then again, you have things like, you know, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which was so great. And it's like, they've already canceled it. And it's like, nobody even had time to find it. It's it's such a stupid model. And
really
it makes
stupid.
me so mad. Anyway. So those are the things you did in New York City.
Those are the things I did in New York.
Bring everybody back to what we're actually
It was really fun.
about.
And I also met up with some of my writing friends who I met online, and we got to meet up in person for the first time because they were also at the con. And that was really just amazing. So lovely to meet them.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a huge win. And I got to take the train there, and that was phenomenal.
Oh, was it? Oh,
More
good.
trains all the time.
I agree. Yeah.
I get car sick so easily, and I also get really uncomfortable sitting in the same position for like more than half an hour.
Yeah.
So like being able to like get up and walk around and like whatever, go to the bathroom and like read or like write and not get car sick instantly, like it changes the entire experience of a long trip.
You're kind of like a souffle. You know what I mean? Everything has to be exactly perfect. Otherwise, there's a collapse.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
Our coworker Kata likes to say, I have the body of an 80-year-old woman.
But it's you're just making it work, so good for you.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, okay. Well, no wonder you haven't had time to watch movies. You've been gallivanting around and watching Broadway shows, so I that's fine. I weirdly watched a lot of movies, so let me tell you about a couple of them. None of these are super relevant to the modern era, but you're going to hear about them anyway. I got a bunch of DVDs from it was like a thrift store, and it was like 2 for $1 DVDs, and so I just was like dove in like Uncle Scrooge into the money bins and was just like pulling DVDs out. So I got one called Jumpin' Jack Flash, which stars Whoopi Goldberg, and it's the first movie that deals with like internet chat as a plot line. So if that tells you how old it is. She works at like an international bank, and she starts getting these messages that are like spy related, and then so she gets pulled into this, and she's just kind of like winging it as she goes. Yeah, it's very 80s. It's cool. I loved it as a child, and I hadn't seen it since. So I was delighted to find this DVD. I also watched More American Graffiti, which is like the less popular sequel to the classic movie. And I actually thought this was like a better movie. And it was a lot about like the Vietnam War and people's response to that. And I watched this with my son because we watched the first one together. And he was like riveted by More American Graffiti. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Because he was really like, the Vietnam War seems like it was ill-conceived. And I'm like, I think you're onto something there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Also in that pile was Starman, starring Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen, which is like kind of an 80s classic. Karen Allen plays Marion in Indiana Jones. To go back to a previous.
I got that.
Do you know Jeff Bridges?
Can't say I do.
I don't think I can help you. I mean, there's got to be a way to get you there, but he's Obadiah Stane in Iron Man.
Okay.
Tony Stark built this in a cave. The mentor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's been a while since I've seen that, but I can conceive of who you're talking about.
Yes. Jeff Bridges plays an alien who comes down to Earth, and he takes the form of Karen Allen's recently deceased husband.
Ooh.
And she knows it's not the husband. There's not really confusion about that. But he comes down and I don't know. And so then the government's after him, and she's first kind of reluctant to help him, and then of course like a bond grows over the. So it's kind of a road trip movie, but it was really good, and I've always known about it, and I've never seen it. So
that
finally,
does sound cool.
Yeah, we just watched it, and then I watched Nosferatu with Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose Depp. Have you heard of this? Seen this?
I have heard of it, but I have not seen it.
It was woefully unpleasant. You know, it has its gothic vibes, although I don't think it went quite far enough in that, and it was just. I don't know. I thought of you because of your recent, vampire.
The big vampire
research.
journey.
But I don't know. I guess I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't enjoy it. There were things I appreciated about it as just like a movie, but it ended, and I was like, well.
I've heard that
now
Nosferatu is a little bit almost like a remix of Dracula.
I think that's that's correct. Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that concept.
I'm really not a Dracula expert. I haven't read the books. I don't really know anything about like Dracula lore. He likes blood, I think.
He likes
I know
blood.
that part.
He likes blood.
Yeah.
I feel that I am quickly becoming a Dracula expert.
I know, yeah.
Does it have like a Mina Harker character? Because I feel like that's something
I don't know who that is.
Well,
so
I'm going to have you try Dracula at some point, apparently.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, my brother has been trying to get me to try Dracula for like 10 years now. So
well, we can have a little
you'd do
team-up
him a
moment.
solid. Yeah, he'd really appreciate it. So I'm whatever about that movie. Let's talk about books.
Books.
Yeah, what are you reading? What have you finished?
I finished a couple things.
Okay,
I
that's
finished
good.
a book called A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus.
Okay.
This is like a middle grade book that I'd heard really good things about. And then Caleb's great aunt Nancy got this for me for Christmas, and I was really excited. And I brought it with me to Bacan, and that was what I was reading like on the train and everything.
When you say great aunt, does that mean like a sibling of a grandparent?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to map the family history. That's all.
Do you not know what a great aunt is?
Well, it always confuses me because it's not the same as like a great grandparent.
Correct. Yeah, that is confusing. The fact that the great aunts and the great grandparents are like on a different generational level.
Yeah.
That is a weird like quirk of our like naming conventions.
Yeah, it does. Because see, I knew the siblings of a couple of my great grandparents, and so I always thought of them as like great,
I understand.
You know what I mean?
But those are
great
great
those
aunts
would be great
and uncles.
great aunts and uncles.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's legit.
I'm with you now.
Okay.
I understand.
I read it, and it was just very sweet and good, and a great book to be reading like while traveling.
Okay.
I also finished reading Roles and Rivalry by Christy Boyce, which is the newest of her D&D rom-coms.
Right. Yeah. You asked me to get that on Libby, which
I
did.
Yes.
So it's there.
Well, so like I was hoping it would come in time, like in the first week that I
Yeah.
could like listen to it right away. But in the interim, I did order a copy of this book.
Okay.
And it came and I read it physically. But
Okay, good.
now that the audiobook is in, I'm also
yeah, I
listening
mean,
to the
you
audiobook.
revisit those quite often, so I'm
Well,
not
I was
worried.
like, I don't know, like I want to read it and hear the audio. So I'm now listening to the audio
Yeah.
as well because I'm that kind of a simp for Christy Boyce, I guess.
Yeah. I think anything that's making you feel happy and pleasant
That's kind of how I
during
feel
these
too.
trying times.
Well,
I
I
think
feel
you should
like
do it.
I feel like so much of it is like these books really do remind me of simpler times. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like just these teenagers like having friends,
Right.
having goals and aspirations,
Yeah.
playing D&D, falling in love, and I'm just like, that's a good
Right.
time. I love that for you.
And for you, when you're thinking of those simpler times, that's like what, 2017, something like that?
You know, in some ways, 2017 was a simpler time for
Okay.
me. I
All
have
right.
to admit that.
All right.
Yeah.
I was just working here, so
Just all
doing the
same.
job I'm
Just all
doing
the
now.
same.
So
I feel like one thing that I really remember sometimes when I'm thinking about like truly so much of my like being a teenager, it can be very stressful,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not sleeping well and you're overwhelmed and you're terrible at time management and you've
Right.
got drama going on all the time, right?
Mhm.
But like there are for sure things that I look back on and I'm like, that was so relaxing and I had it so good.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always remember is after I got my driver's license,
Right.
my friend
What year are we talking?
2017, I think.
2017. Okay.
My friend Mary and I were like, we should do something fun, but
Yeah.
we didn't know what, and we didn't want to like go far afield, so we like drove to Dollar General and we bought root beer and peanut M&Ms, I want to say.
Sounds good to me.
And then we took my parents' camp chairs and we like plunked them in a field and drank root. And I think I brought like goblets and we drank the root beer out of goblets and ate the M&Ms and like watched the sunset. And that was honestly so iconic.
That sounds very 17.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So you were 17. You were 17, right? Then?
Yeah, in 2017.
Okay, right. So my 17 would have been the year 2000. I'm trying to think what I was doing in the year 2000. I was in plays. I was in a lot of plays. But I could drink root beer in a field.
Yeah.
At 17.
Honestly, I would do that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it brings back good memories.
My grandma had a green convertible, and it was like a Cavalier or something. You know, it wasn't like a big fancy car. It was a very like average car, but happened to be a convertible. And I would borrow that often. And whether the weather was right for a convertible or not, my friends and I would just kind of like drive around listening to Elvis.
That's incredible.
In a convertible, which I guess, is what people were doing in like the 1960s, not the 2000s, but to each his own.
Yeah.
All right. So is that everything you finished reading?
Yes, I finished reading those things, and then I'm still reading Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. It's going to take me forever.
Yeah.
It's so big.
Yeah.
I'm working through it. And then I also am reading a book that Caleb brought for me from his library that he was like, this looks like a book my wife would enjoy, The Unruly Heart of Miss Darcy. And this is like a post Pride and Prejudice story about Darcy's sister Georgiana.
Well, thumbs down. That doesn't seem like it'd be fun at all.
Well, it's like a cute little YA novel, and it's about her falling in love with one of Elizabeth's younger sisters.
That
so it's
like
kind of a sapphic retelling.
But I don't allow you checking out books from other libraries.
Well, he checked it out for me, and I didn't know about it in advance. It was a surprise.
Okay. As a one-off, we'll allow it.
And then I also am reading Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree. This is like the third of those cozy fantasy books that he...
the third counting the prequel?
Yes.
So this is like the direct sequel to the first book?
Yeah, it's kind of more of a sequel to the prequel, but it takes place after the first book.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's like more pulling on elements from the prequel.
I get it. All right.
So, and that's been fun. This one has like the most adventure and the least coffee shop so far, and I feel like I am struggling with that a little bit, ironically.
That could be a problem, yeah.
But, and then, I mean, the other issue was I was reading this, and then my copy of Rules and Rivalry came in, so got a little...
Yeah, it takes precedence. I understand.
I feel bad, but...
I understand.
I am going to finish it.
I read a couple of things. Both of these have little stories around them, so I hope you're ready for a little story. I read Shane by Jack Schaefer, which is a classic Western. Sometimes you would catalog it as a YA because the narrator is like a teen. This is a book that we have and not a lot of people in our system have anymore. There's like 2 copies, and it had been on our holds list for several days. So Wilson and I have been scouring our shelves trying to find this book, and it just is nowhere to be found. And so I happened to be at a random antique store, and I saw a copy of Shane for $2, and I was like, well, I'll just grab it. So I grabbed it to replace our missing copy, but that was like over the weekend, so I just started reading it, and it was great. I really liked it. It's a very classic Western premise where Shane just sort of rolls into this new territory, and he kind of becomes friends with this homesteading family, and there is a rivalry sort of between a guy who owns most of the land who's trying to kind of take over and this family that's a holdout. And so the family's like, listen, man, it's about to get ugly here. So I don't know if you want to stay or not because you're about to be an enemy of these people if you throw in with us. And Shane's honor will not allow him to leave this family in need. And so he sort of becomes, their savior and partner in this whole thing. And so it ends in an inevitable face-off. And I don't know. I just really liked it. So I got it, and then we added it on Monday, and it instantly went out for that hold.
Nice.
So and
someone
now
else
I've
can
read
now
Shane.
enjoy it. Now you have.
And then the other one I read is called Son of Nobody. This is by Jan Martel, who also wrote like Life of Pi and other things.
Yeah.
I was we were going to Buffalo for a concert. We saw Alan Doyle of Great Big Sea fame, which you definitely would like all of this music. So you should try it. And it was a great concert. It was super fun. On our way, we kind of swung wide just to have a more scenic drive, and we went through Franklinville, and I stopped at this new bookstore called the Bookkeeper's Bookshop.
Oh.
And it was really cool. Like, they haven't been open for very long, and it was just, it's in a house, but it's very well set up. It just kind of felt like a mini, like Barnes & Noble, or just, a very well-curated indie bookstore that I was all about. So we got a couple of things. We got a birthday present for my son, and I picked up this book, Son of Nobody. And it's such an interesting premise because it's about a scholar who is trying to piece together and translate an epic like the Odyssey or something. And so the book is sort of divided between him, the actual epic poem, and in the footnotes is sort of the story of him uncovering it while also his life is unraveling. And so it's a very high concept.
Right.
And that the book itself is very divided between the main, what is, put forward as the main part, which is the epic poem, and then his life in footnotes. But it just doesn't quite stick to that format. Like, it doesn't really make sense what's happening. And even as it ends, it's sort of like his story has ended, but the footnotes continue in a way that I just found like, no, like it's such an ambitious premise. And if you don't just stick to that premise like to a T, then it just feels gimmicky. And that's how I felt by the end of this.
That's too bad.
It is too bad because I really wanted to read it. And I'm glad that I did, but I didn't
I feel
like it.
like Caleb read something with a similar premise recently.
Okay, maybe it was that.
I don't think it was that.
Okay.
But you should ask him about it because maybe
right.
it would be more satisfying to you.
Well, I finished it and I was like, I don't need this for anything. So I donated it to the library. So if you check out Son of Nobody here from the David A. Howe Public Library, it will be the exact copy that I bought at the Bookkeeper's Bookshop and donated. So there you go.
It's like
the
a celebrity moment.
Yes,
people can
that's
read
right.
the same book that you
Wow.
read.
Well, I guess the same is true of Shane as well.
That's
because,
true.
Yeah. And then I'm currently reading one called Call to Darkness by Michael Jan Friedman, which is a Star Trek book. It's set in season 2, and I picked it because we watched season 2, and I like Pulaski, and it was one of the rare Pulaski books. So I grabbed it off my shelf, and I'm reading it. And I do think Pulaski's better than Crusher.
Well, that's an area where we will have to just agree to disagree.
Back when we started this podcast, so we were recording like a little pilot, we had a whole thing about.
That was one of the first things that we really were at odds about.
I don't want to fight about it again, but I still don't get what there is to like about Crusher.
I don't know. I just think she's an interesting character. Like I feel like her history with Picard is interesting, and like her kind of role on the ship is like she's Wesley's mom, but she's also I feel like, and like I don't know. I feel like some of that interpersonal stuff with her I find really interesting.
See, I agree with you, and maybe it's just Gates McFadden as an actor that I'm not picking up the vibes from, because I think it's all there on the page, but she just seems so flat to me. I don't know. I don't get it.
I guess I don't know. I don't know that I've ever had a like negative reception of her acting, but I don't know.
Well,
when
you look at
it's so long,
when you
I have to like watch again and scrutinize and try and see what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give it a shot. When you look at like Frakes and Marita Sirtis, or Riker and Troy, they have that whole past history,
right?
And even though they don't touch on that very often, it's always there. And I think, outside of the episodes where they are specifically doing the Picard Crusher stuff, it's non-existent. Watch the movies, it's non-existent. Like the Darmok episode, sure, it's right there. The Naked Now, fine, but like most of the time, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I guess so.
I guess she seems fine enough of a character to me that even if that's not in the foreground all the time, it never bothers me.
No, she doesn't
Something
need
that
the romance.
Did really bother me though. Is that the fact that like Riker and Troy have all that past history and they talk about it almost never.
Yeah.
It's like so many things happen that feel like that would be really relevant to it and they just don't acknowledge it. And I'm like, how can you just not acknowledge this? Like, I'm not saying like that the actors need to, or like that the characters need to be like, wow, can you believe this thing that happened is so similar to, but like, I feel like there should, on like a metatextual level, I feel like we as the viewer should be like, oh yeah, this thing that happened between them is relevant to the, and I feel like they don't do that a lot, and it makes me crazy.
See, that's where I disagree, because while I don't think they always address it, I think the way they look at each other, the way that they deliver the lines to each other is very much like, we are exes with unfinished business and we're being professional.
That's fair.
I appreciate that, and I do not see that with Crusher and Picard.
I feel like the actors do a good job, but I feel like there are a lot of opportunities on a writing level for there to be just like a little more that would really make that
You're right about that.
And that just feels like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah. The thing that I like about Pulaski is that she comes into such a tight group, and she is just the only one with like a different energy, who's like, not everybody's like, I respect you so deeply kind of thing. And she just sort of like throws a wrench in it and just like does her own thing.
Fair enough.
I like it a lot. And I wish that it would have, but anyway, all that to say, I'm reading Call to Darkness by Michael Jan Friedman, which is a Star Trek The Next Generation book. I'm also reading Washington by Ron Chernow, which is about George Washington. Maybe you've heard of them.
Is it also a brick of a book?
It's a big old brick of a book, yes.
Yep. Can Ron Chernow write a book that is not a brick, we think?
I don't think so.
It's not possible.
I don't think
for
he
him.
can. No. The audiobook is 44 hours long.
That's a lot.
That's like Brandon Sanderson level.
That's Brandon Sanderson
right?
levels.
Yeah. So I just started it, and First President, Crossing the Delaware, the dollar bill, of course. Outside of that, I don't know a ton about George Washington.
Yeah, that's
fair. I guess I just know the highlights.
Yeah.
Like I could write like a 3rd grade essay about George Washington.
For sure.
I could nail it. But like already, I'm not that deep in, and already I'm kind of like, that's interesting. Just his parents and like, just the very basic stuff. The stuff about the famous portrait of him, like that's sort of the prologue of the book or the foreword. And even that, I'm like, okay. So it's going to be a long ride, and I'm into it. So I'm excited about that. Comics, webtoons.
I have revisited a few webtoons. When we were in New York, there's this one webtoon that I read when it was coming out regularly called The Kiss Bet, and it's about like high schoolers doing high school things, and one of them bets her friend that she can kiss a guy on the subway, whatever.
Okay.
And it all kind of spins out from there, but there's a lot of like subway related stuff.
Have you ever had a kiss related bet?
No, I have never had a kiss related bet.
Think about it though, because I bet
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a kiss related bet?
No, I don't think. No.
I've never had. I never bet very much, just in general.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay. Did you ever have like a friend be like, "Go talk to this stranger"? Did anything like that ever happen to you?
No. I was like privy to that happening to some of my other friends.
Oh yeah. Okay.
A lot of the time when I was in high school, I was like in a steady relationship, so there was minimal opportunity for my friends to push me on strangers.
Yeah. No, I was never bold in that way, really. So I don't think that I would have. I remember one time I was in a really long line for a roller coaster, and the girl in front of me, we were like definitely vibing, and I never talked to her. So
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have that moment just like in a platonic way where like I see someone,
sure.
whatever, and we chat briefly, and then afterward I'm like, I should have like gotten some kind of contact info and just become friends with this person for real.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've done it, but sometimes I'm too cowardly.
Yeah. But it does go back to like our conversations about adult friending and how difficult it is.
It's so difficult.
And how it really
for no
is
reason.
sort of like asking somebody on a date.
I feel like that's what feels so weird about it is it's like like if I'm chatting with someone and it's like we're having a good time, we have a lot of the same interests, we could be friends, whatever. It feels like so serious and intense to be like, you want to give me your number? Yeah. And I also like, depending who it is, like there's a possibility they could think I am asking them out on a date. You know what I mean? If they don't know I'm married and all of that. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that to be part of that situation. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I have made myself do it a couple of times. And sometimes it's paid off. And
sometimes
other
it pays off.
Not so much.
Sometimes it does.
Not so much. I just want to point out that my wife has missed the last 5 minutes of what we're talking about because she's trying to figure out who that roller coaster girl was. And when that happened, it was before we met.
That
it was
makes
a long
sense.
time ago.
That makes sense.
But even knowing that, she's still jealous about it. And that's fine. You know, we all have our things, and that's fine.
Oh, that's funny.
I guess so. That's it for books then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
I recently read Speed Racer by David Pepose, which is, this is on Libby. It's sort of a redo of the Speed Racer stuff, which I always like the old school Speed Racer stuff, but it really doesn't work outside of like the 60s or 70s or whenever that was. You can't update it. It's impossible. Its hokiness is the thing that gives it charm. So when you try to make it like hip and cool, that's a big fail. I also read Shang-Chi and the Quest for Immortality by Victoria King. This is one of those sort of junior level graphics that kids don't care about anymore. We were just talking about how like the superhero genre is not something that appeals to like the younger crowds. By and large. There's always exceptions. But
that's true. Yeah, sometimes a kid will come in and they'll be like, do you have books on this like specific superhero? And I'll be like, you got to look in the adult comic section, kid. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like Spider-Man and Batman maybe permeate a little bit.
I feel like I feel like those guys, they never really fall from
But, you know, even with all the goodwill around the latest Superman movie, I have not seen a spike in people being like, you know what? Let's read more about this Superman.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened.
True.
I wanted it to. I also wanted to like that movie, but, you know, not everything is for me.
Have you watched it twice? Have we discussed this?
No,
Did you watch it
first
in the drive?
It wasn't in the drive-in.
Okay.
No.
I feel like you should watch it again, and you might like it better.
I think you're right. Time. I think you're right that I should.
I feel like given what I know about you and how you tend to receive
my friend got it for me on VHS.
Well, you got to watch it on VHS.
I know. That probably would be fun. I should watch it again. And I love Supergirl as a character.
That's fair.
I would just so love to love this movie. I don't feel
Crypto
optimistic.
is really cute, so there's that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And I'm not even a dog person.
What about music? I see you got a music listed here.
I have been listening.
A music is what people say.
A singular music.
Yeah.
I have been listening to a new album by M. Behold. She wrote the song Numb Little Bug that kind of popped up. I don't know if you know that one.
I don't think so.
It's really good. I'll have to play it for you later.
So,
I think you'll like it.
Okay.
But anyway, Tales of a Failed Shapeshifter is her new album, and I've been listening to it.
Well, I like that too.
I've been really vibing with it.
I'm going to have to listen to this now. I have been listening to music, but it's so irrelevant. It embarrasses me to say it. But
I'm so ready to hear
I
it.
just splurged and got the 55th anniversary expanded score version of the James Bond movie Diamonds Are Forever. Music by John Barry. Yeah, you know what? That's not a good movie. Diamonds Are Forever is sort of...
But is the score good?
Yes, it's great.
Then I see no problem with this.
I know. It's so good. And like, I don't even like the book Diamonds Are Forever, but the music, and it's John Barry, who's done many James Bond movies and many other things. Something about this score, I don't know, 1971, it's one of those scores that you can just listen to by itself, and it just works as like an instrumental album. And so I've heard it before, you know, it's on vinyl and stuff, but this was a really fancy limited edition version that has all sorts of expanded cuts, but it also has a second disc that is just the classic version of the score that's been released forever. So I hemmed and hawed about buying it, but I was still thinking about it like a month later, and I was like, you know what?
I feel like that's usually the sign that you need to go for it.
I got it, and I have no regrets. There's no looking back.
Well, good.
I thought this was going to be a short episode. This doesn't seem to be.
You just keep getting into like the problems with streaming services and Beverly Crusher.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot to unpack.
Remember when she fell in love with that ghost candle?
I don't know if I ever actually saw that episode. I've heard about it a lot.
I don't know. As an actor, when do you just be like, I can't do that. I'm sorry. That's a no for me.
I like, yeah, that's a fair question. But personally, like, do I think that, like, I don't know. Sometimes Star Trek and other like long running shows like that have a hokey episode like that.
Yeah.
Where you kind of think like, what was going on? What were the conversations? But I love it when the actors commit and just go for it. Yeah. I'm like, good for you.
I agree.
Pop off. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. You know, there's that other Crusher episode where people keep disappearing and she's the only one who notices it. And then she's the only one left on the Enterprise. See, that should be a star turn. And I just think she whiffs it. I don't know. I'm making a lot of people mad. I mean, I guess people who are listening to this who also care about Star Trek The Next Generation. So
I'd love to know how big of a sample size that is.
It's not big. It's not big, but that person and his immediate family are angry with me right now in this moment. Television, yes. I have been watching a few things. Okay. We are still rewatching Only Murders in the Building with my family, and it's still so good on the second rewatch. All right. I'm so into it. We're still rewatching the original Daredevil show, and we also finished the new season of the new Daredevil show. Right, you said that. Okay.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, but you're liking the old show.
Before. I am enjoying the old show, and it's kind of fun because it's like, for me, it basically feels like a prequel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so like stuff that they've referred to a lot, I'm like finally getting to like see it, and so that's kind of a cool experience. Yeah, it's working pretty well.
Because I think the new season, everything I've read seems like it's sort of designed that you could just watch it.
I think so. I think they very much had that in mind, and especially the first season of it doesn't get too much into stuff that happened before. The second season has a lot more. Okay, but I still think you can watch it first and then be excited to go back and watch the original. Right. I have also watched a bit more of Veronica Mars.
Hey, nice. So you're still in the first season?
Yes. Okay. I am still in the first season.
All right. Was it easy to dive back in?
It was pretty easy.
That episode was a long time ago.
Yeah, it did help. Like the little like previously on was helpful. But I mean also like, I don't know. I feel like I mostly remembered the important things.
So good.
So I think I probably will watch a bit more of that. I don't know how quickly because I have too many books to read and too many things to do.
You got to re-listen to those audiobooks.
Re-listen to the audiobooks that I'm obsessed with. Deal with Wind and Truth. You know, but
yeah. You got a lot.
I think we'll get back to it sooner or later.
Well, that sounds fun. That sounds like a fun batch of shows. I am currently watching a show called Baskets, which is Zach Galifianakis. He plays a rodeo clown.
I'm so obsessed with that name. Just anytime anyone says it, it's funny to me. I know I've already commented on this probably at least 3 times in the history of this podcast, but I can't let it go by without acknowledging it.
I don't think you should. You got to be true to your own character, and that's important. I don't know. I've seen this show a million times. Like I've seen the cover art or whatever, seen it advertised, and I just never. But I don't know. I've had this hole of like that type of show, and I finally just started watching it, and it's weird, but I like it. It's like it's weird in the right way. I don't know what to compare it to, but I'm hooked. I'm into it.
Well, nice.
I haven't finished the first season, and then I'm also watching The Rise and Fall of Reggie Dinkins, which is Daniel Radcliffe and Tracy Morgan, and I like it.
That sounds fun.
It's fun, but that's pretty much it for me. Not a lot of excitement outside of these things. So, you know, it happens.
I mean, you had some book-related adventures,
That's
so
true.
I think that was good.
That's true. My son just had a birthday, so we had like the friend party where we went golfing, like putt-putt golf, and then we had family party, and now we're seeing my brother this weekend, and we're going to watch the Mario Galaxy movie, which I do not want to watch, but we're going to do it. Did you watch the first one?
At least. No.
Oh, so flavorless, so bland.
I don't even really know pretty much anything about Mario in general,
I don't.
to be
It's
honest.
so crazy because we're watching Parks and Rec right now, and Chris Pratt is so funny in that. And like he was good in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like everything since then, I'm just like, ugh. He voiced Garfield in the Garfield movie.
Yeah.
He's voicing Mario, and it's like the most phoned-in performance of anything I've ever heard.
I mean,
So
if I feel like, if you were in the same situation, wouldn't you also phone in a Mario performance?
no, I don't think I would.
You would commit
I
to
think
it?
I would go all in. Yeah.
Well,
Garfield
I
and
that.
Mario, you got to go for it. That's what I say.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know why you're
know.
giving Chris Pratt a free pass, but that's up to you.
I do feel like some things he's great in, and some things it's like that's a little too much Chris Pratt. Like we got to dial back the Chris Pratt.
That's true. And on that note, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of But Have You Tried? Have you started Yoshi?
I have started Yoshi, and I'm going to say nothing about my responses so far.
Stone-faced over there. Okay. Well, in 2 weeks, we're going to get back to talk about all things Yoshi, which is exciting. Yoshi's also in the new Mario movie, so I can talk to you about the performance. I think it's Donald Glover from like Community fame or Childish Gambino fame, who's voicing Yoshi.
Okay, yeah,
or
I know,
Solo.
I know
He's
who
Lando
that
and
is.
Solo. There you go. So we'll talk Yoshi, and then we'll see what happens after that. It's
Sounds
almost
good.
the summer reading program, which is wild.
I don't feel ready for it.
I don't feel ready for it at all.
Well, also, I think because it's been so cold, it feels like it's still March, and then it's like, but next month is June. Haha.
No,
that's not okay.
That's no good at all.
I don't like that.
Nope. All right. Well, I hope
see you
that you
then.
like Yoshi. Yeah, we'll talk about it next time.